If you aspire to become a more disciplined person, how can you achieve this? What is necessary to cultivate discipline and resilience? The first step is to set a clear direction for yourself. Choose a medium to long-term goal that you genuinely aim for, something that, once achieved, will significantly improve your life. Ask yourself the following question: what would I like to accomplish that would bring me genuine satisfaction, simply by striving for it? Don't force an answer. Let it naturally emerge as you reflect. If I could attain what I desire, what would it be? If you're unable to pinpoint something specific, look at the problems you face, for they often reveal your greatest needs. What troubles you? What frustrates you? What aspect of your life isn't as you'd like it to be and is making everything harder? For example, you're unemployed and dependent on others. You lack the skills or qualifications for the career you desire. You struggle to communicate with others. You don't have the relationship you long for. You lead a sedentary life that's affecting your health. You can't control your impulses to pursue what you truly want. You spend all your free time on social media and gaming. Turning these issues into goals may be the solution. Your purpose could be to resolve the challenges that arise, gradually making your life better each day. Try this exercise. Set aside some time alone, eliminate distractions, and ask yourself, if in the future I could have something I need and desire, what would it be? You could also reframe the question: what if I could have a relationship in a certain way, communicate in a particular manner, get a specific job, or pursue a particular career, create a channel about a topic I'm passionate about, or study something that excites me? It doesn't matter if it takes an hour, a day, a week, or a month to find the answer. Don't underestimate the power of self-inquiry. It helps you organize the inner turmoil we all carry within us. Often, our minds are a mess. Although we have an immense capacity to store information, we lack internal organization. In a sense, we are strangers to ourselves. We don't know ourselves deeply. Engaging in intentional self-reflection is a way to build a relationship with yourself, to understand who you really are and what you desire, free from judgment. Once you've discovered your true objective, ingrain it firmly in your mind. Make it clear to yourself that only you can achieve it. It is essential not to dwell on what you lack or what you thought you would have. Avoid complaining about how hard life is for not giving you everything you want. Life is complex and full of challenges. Bad things happen to everyone. But your best option is to work toward improving your life, reducing suffering as much as possible. Therefore, pursue that goal and shape the world around you to reach it. Do whatever is within your power, everything you can. Be careful not to use life's difficulties as an excuse, for this can corrupt your integrity. Blaming the universe is also placing the problem on it, and you cannot fix the universe, even if it is part of the difficulty. No matter how adverse things may become, your best option is to look inward, as it is entirely possible to transform yourself. This is the first step to developing discipline. Know what your goal is, where you want to go, and accept that it is your responsibility to make it happen. The next step is to break down your goal. Medium to long-term objectives aren't accomplished in a single day or with a single action. They usually require multiple steps. Thus, it's necessary to break your goal into sub-goals. Think of it as mapping out a journey. You wish to travel from point A to point B, but to do so, you must pass through X, Y, and Z. If X, Y, and Z still seem distant, you'll also need to break them down into smaller steps. This is crucial so that you know exactly what needs to be done, step by step. Many people hold a dream in their minds but have no idea how to bring it to fruition. They keep the goal in their heads but don't know the path to achieve it. It may take time to understand which paths to follow, but it's essential to think about this strategically. So, chart a course and identify the steps you need to take to reach your goal. All set? Now that you know where you want to go and how to get there, it's time to establish a routine. Jordan Peterson, one of the most renowned clinical psychologists of our time, firmly asserts that it's impossible to maintain mental health without a routine. A routine is simply an organized way to perform tasks, a strategy to plan your future time. We humans function best when following patterns. Within us, there are biological cycles that operate in a patterned manner. Without a routine, you disrupt all these cycles, which impacts your decisions throughout the day. Having a schedule is the best way to help your brain orient itself in the world and reduce the effort needed to make decisions. If your goal is to be disciplined and have control over your life, This is essential. Google Calendar, for example, is a simple and straightforward tool for this purpose. But how do you structure a healthy and productive routine? First, focus on your basic habits. What are they? Your sleeping and waking times, sleep duration, meal times, personal hygiene. You don't need to be overly rigid, but if possible, maintain these habits at the same times every day, even on weekends. Notice that procrastination tends to arise when we neglect these fundamental habits, perform them haphazardly, or sometimes don't do them at all. You don't need to sleep or wake up at a specific time, like 5 a.m. The problem lies in sleeping or waking up only when it suits you, when you feel like it. For instance, one day you sleep at 11 p.m., the next at 1 a.m., then at 2 a.m., waking at 10 a.m., then at noon. This lack of consistency is the real issue. Another critical point is sleeping or waking at times far outside what our biological clock accepts. Not respecting these cycles can destabilize and disorganize our internal systems, impairing our ability to make decisions throughout the day. Establish the best possible times to sleep, wake, and carry out your basic habits, and stick to them daily. Period. Your basic habits form the core that sustains your entire routine. They are what will keep it intact when things spiral out of control. Of course, if you have other responsibilities like work, studies, or college, you'll need to adjust your habits to fit these obligations, but don't fail to fulfill them. If possible, do it. The next step is to incorporate your sub-goals and basic habits into your schedule. Remember to be realistic. There's no point in listing countless tasks to accomplish in one day if you won't be able to maintain them. You might manage it for a day or two, but soon you'll give up and end up blaming yourself, thinking you lack discipline or are lazy. Be realistic. The next step is to break your goal into smaller parts. Medium to long-term objectives are not achieved in a single day or with one action. They usually require several steps. Therefore, it's necessary to decompose your goal into sub-goals. Imagine you're mapping a journey. You want to go from point A to point B, but you need to pass through X, Y, and Z. If X, Y, and Z still seem distant, you will also need to break them down into smaller steps. This is vital to knowing exactly what needs to be done, step by step. Many people have a goal in mind, but don't know how to achieve it. They keep the dream in their heads, but don't know the way to reach it. It may take time to understand which paths are necessary, but it's essential to think about it strategically. So, map out and identify the paths you need to follow to reach that goal. All set? Now that you know where you want to go and how to achieve it, it's time to structure a routine. Jordan Peterson, one of the most influential clinical psychologists today, firmly advocates that it's impossible to maintain mental health without a routine. A routine is simply a structured way to do things, a strategy for organizing your future time. To develop discipline, self-awareness is crucial. We are constantly confronted with various impulses and desires. When this happens, we must step out of autopilot mode, stop reacting without thinking. Negative things can occur when we let ourselves be swept along by impulses all the time. It's important to pause and reflect. Is this harming or directly interfering with my goal? Am I acting consciously or merely reacting? Do I truly want to do this? Our brains tend to seek immediate pleasure, but we can choose to follow a more challenging path that will bring long-term benefits. Over time, you'll develop a critical sense that will allow you to make better decisions in your life, one step at a time. In a year, you could become an entirely different person. So don't forget, responsibilities demand sacrifices. The most successful people in the world are those who sacrifice and delay immediate gratification. One of the most overlooked aspects of productivity is rest, yet it is one of the most essential. Without rest, you'll get nowhere. No matter how many innovative productivity methods you use, it's imperative to include periods of rest in your routine. Full stop. However, there's a caveat. You need to learn how to rest. What do I mean by learning to rest? Imagine you're in the gym. Between each set of 12 repetitions, you need a short rest period. Depending on your workout, usually between 30 to 120 seconds. Then you return and perform the exercise again. If you exceed this time, your body cools down. If you go even further, your mind starts to wander and get distracted. If you grab your phone, you completely lose focus. Eventually, when you return, you're not as concentrated as before, and your ability to perform the movement is compromised. Thus, it's crucial that you remember to include short rest periods throughout your day. But be cautious not to let them extend too long, causing you to slip back into that comfort zone, lose focus, and procrastinate. Rest serves as a breather, a brief pause to recharge your strength. It's also wise to plan and schedule your breaks. When will you rest? How long will you rest? Planning rest helps to avoid that anxiety of feeling like you should be doing something, or the worry that you're wasting time. Since you've already scheduled how long and what you'll do afterward, you can relax. Just remember that lingering or exceeding that pre-established period has a high chance of leading to procrastination. The body cools down and you become lazy. Another important point is what you do during your rest period. I see many people using variations of methods like Pomodoro, for example. 25 minutes of work with 5 minutes of rest, or 60 minutes of work with 10 minutes of rest, which is a good technique. But during their breaks, they engage in highly stimulating activities like TikTok, social media, or games. When you're studying, working, or doing something productive, it's hard, it's challenging, and the reward isn't immediate. And as we've already seen, your brain will always push you toward what gives you quick dopamine hits. So imagine that during your breaks, you pick up your phone and start scrolling through super engaging videos, receiving quick bursts of dopamine. You're watching fast-paced videos with bright colors, reactions, and explosions. When it's time to refocus, do you think your brain will want what's in front of you, something hard, difficult, with a reward that will come only next week? Of course not. It will crave that instant reward, where there was comfort without effort. You may be thinking, so I can't play, use my phone, or do something fun during my breaks. That's not it. In fact, you should do something enjoyable, something fun that relieves a bit of the stress from so much concentration. The important thing is to use good judgment to identify which activities may destabilize you or drain your motivation negatively. For instance, I can't control myself when using short video apps. I tell myself, I'll spend just 15 minutes, and before I know it, 2 hours have passed. That's why I decided to avoid them altogether. If you have this self-awareness and can limit yourself, great. If not, it's better to avoid these activities. I strongly recommend you watch this video, where I delve much deeper into this subject. It's a comprehensive summary on dopamine, motivation, and pleasure. Another important point is to include rest periods after several days of productivity. If you've maintained discipline and focus for 4 days, your body will need a break. This is normal, truly. You're not a superhero, so get that idea out of your head. The major issue with this productivity culture is the pressure to be hyperproductive all the time, never stopping to work. This is unrealistic. There will come a time when you'll need to slow down, and when that moment comes, rest if you can. But again, learn how to rest. The rule applies here too. Don't tell me you've spent a week doing nothing and are resting. In reality, you're procrastinating. Rest isn't a vacation. Depending on your pace, a well-rested day is usually enough. And of course, don't engage in activities that might destabilize your system, like social media or intense gaming. Experiment to find what works best for you. Finally, and certainly not least, we need to cultivate resilience. Often in life, many things will be beyond our control. We may not be able to adjust our environment or eliminate everything that hinders us. Sometimes it won't be possible to follow all the habits or maintain a healthy routine. The rest may not be sufficient, things may not go as planned, and challenges and setbacks may be constant. We all go through such moments, and it's precisely in these times that resilience becomes crucial, especially when we're in complicated situations. When facing significant difficulties, we have 2 options. The first is to attribute our suffering to life itself, or even to God. We can lament how life is imperfect, how the fundamental structure of the universe seems unfair. We can complain about our bad luck, believe that our suffering is caused by the cruelty of existence, think that the universe conspires against us. The second option is to recognize, or even admit, that we're suffering at least partly because we're not doing everything we could. This can be hard to accept because it implies acknowledging that our suffering is, to some extent, our responsibility. However, this is the only option that gives us hope. Thinking, there is something in me that I can improve, means that change is possible. But if we believe the problem lies with the universe, only agony and anguish remain, for we cannot change the universe. But we can change ourselves. As I mentioned earlier, don't use your problems and difficulties as an excuse. This distorts your problem-solving abilities and can fragment your motivation in misguided ways. And I don't say this naively. I know life is complex and that your suffering can be justified by external causes. And it would be perfectly understandable to think that way. But if you use this as an excuse, you'll only make your situation worse and diminish your ability to make decisions. In certain situations, great endurance is necessary to face adversity. Regardless of everything, you must maintain a forward-looking vision. It's in this moment that everything can change, that your future can be transformed. So I would say, have the discipline to fulfill what you set out to do, and the resilience to accept life's challenges and stay strong. To conclude, I'll share an excellent quote from Professor Mario Sergio Cortella, which I carry with me. Do your best with the conditions you have while you don't have better conditions to do even better. Phew, what a journey, right? Before wrapping up, I'd like to ask you to leave a like, this as it helps me a lot. More and more, I have the opportunity to produce content for this channel, doing something I love, and your support is essential. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. If you want to be part of our community and strive to become a better person, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll know when I release a new video and also help the channel grow. As with all videos, I hope this one has added something to your life, that you leave here a little better than when you came. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention. Good luck, and see you next time.